Alright everyone, Enchanter Tim here with Duelist Community College, and I'm bringing to you my third place Zombie Eldritch deck. Only reason I actually got third was because this is the first time I've actually played this, or even my previously made zombie deck. I never actually touched it, and so there were quite a few mistakes made in the first round that cost me. But aside from that, it's a fun deck to play, and good lord does it go off. Alright, let's get right into the profile though. The monster loadout is actually fairly light. For the zombie package, we do have 3 Unizombies. You can target one face-up monster on the field, discard 1 card, and if you do, increase the target's level by 1. You can target one face-up monster on the field. Monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of the turn, except zombie monsters. Also send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase that target's level by 1. You can only use each effect of Unizombie once per turn. The misplay I had here was I didn't send things the first round. The next we have 2 Necroworld Banshees. Zombie World in the field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can target it with card effects. And then her quick effect is you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, activate 1 Zombie World directly from your hand or deck. You can only use the effect of Necroworld Banshee once per turn. Basically just a way to get your Zombie World out. You're probably not going to be protecting it for long, but it's useful. And next we have 2 Glow Up Blooms. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. Or if Zombie World is in the field zone, you can special summon it from your deck instead. Also, in either case, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except zombie monsters. You can only use the effect of Glow Up Bloom once per turn. Then for the boss monsters, 1 Doom King Ballardrock. During the standby phase, if a face-up card is in the field zone and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position. You can only use this effect of Doom King Ballardrock once per turn. Once per chain, when a zombie monster except Doom King Ballardrock activates its effect, except during the damage step. The quick effect is you can apply it. You can apply one of these effects but you cannot apply the same effect of Doom King Ballardrock again this turn. You can either negate that effect or choose to banish 1 monster from the field or graveyard. And then 2 Eldritch the Golden Lords. You can send this card and 1 spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 spell trap you control to the graveyard, add this card to your hand, then you can special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand, and if you do, until the end of your opponent's turn, it gains 1000 attack and defense and cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can only use each effect of Eldritch the Golden Lord once per turn. Now for the very limited hand trap selection we have, but proved extremely useful in every match. 3 Nibiru the Primal Beings. During the main phase, if your opponent normal or special summon 5 or more monsters this turn, you can tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible. And if you do special summon this card from your hand, then special summon 1 Primal Being token to your opponent's field. This token's attack and defense become the combined original attack and defense of the tributed monsters. You can only use the effect of Nibiru the Primal Being once per turn. The downside to this is that the token can become exceedingly strong, so unless you have a way to out it, it's not recommended to do. And for the last of the monster, 3 Fantastical Dragon Phantasmes. If your opponent special summons a Link monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, then draw cards equal to the number of Link monsters your opponent controls plus 1. Then shuffle cards from your hand into the deck equal to the number of Link monsters they control. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets the monsters you control, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme once per turn. And now on to the spells. Of course, we're playing 2 copies of Zombie World. All monsters on the field and graveyards become zombie monsters. Neither player contributes summon monsters except zombie monsters. 3 Super Polymerizations. Discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your deck, using monsters from either field as fusion material. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. And then oddly enough, a card I did not think would prove very useful, but in fact actually did, 3 Dark Ruler No Mores. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. Also for the rest of this turn after the card resolves, your opponent takes no damage. Neither player can activate monster effects in response to this card's activation. Then 3 Pots of Extravagance. At the start of your main phase, banish 3 or 6 random face-down cards from your extra deck. Face down, draw 1 card for every 3 cards banished. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot draw any cards by card effects. 7 Cities of the Golden Land. During your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck, using only 2 zombie monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If a zombie monster is special summoned by card effect, except during the damage step, you can target 1 set card in a spell or in trap zone. That set card cannot be activated this turn even if this card leaves the field. You can only use each effect as 7 cities of the Golden Land once per turn. And then we have 3 Cursed Eldlands. You cannot declare attacks except with zombie monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of Cursed Eldland once per turn. You can pay 800 life points, add 1 Eldritch monster or 1 Golden Land spell trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can send 1 Eldritch monster or 1 Golden Land spell trap from your deck to the graveyard. And then last for the spells, 2 Elixir of Black Awakening. Special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand or deck in defense position. But if you control no Eldritch monsters, you can only special summon Eldritch monsters with the effect. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except zombie monsters. And you can banish this card from your graveyards to set 1 Golden Land spell trap directly from your deck. You can only use 1 Elixir of the Awakening effect per turn and only once that turn. And then onto the traps, we have the exact same thing, basically, except in trap form. 3 Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. Special summon 1 zombie monster from your deck or graveyard, but if you control no Eldritch monsters, you can only special summon an Eldritch monster with this effect. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except zombie monsters. You can banish this card from your graveyard to set 1 Golden Land spell trap directly from your deck. You can only use 1 Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine effect per turn, and only once that turn. Then we have 3 Haquero of Golden Land. Special summon this card as a normal monster with Zombie Light, level 5, attack 1800, defense 1500. This card is also still a trap. Then if you control Eldritch the Golden Lord, you can banish 1 card from either graveyard. During the end phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to set 1 Elixir spell trap directly from your deck. You can only use 1 Haquero of the Golden Land effect per turn, and only once that turn. And then the last 3 cards of the main deck. 3 Conquistador of the Golden Land. Special summon this card as a normal monster. Zombie Light, level 5, attack 500, defense 1800. This card is also still a trap. Then if you control Eldritch the Golden Lord, you can destroy 1 face-up card on the field, and during the end phase you can banish this card from your graveyard to set 1 Elixir spell trap directly from your deck. You can only use 1 Conquistador of the Golden Land effect per turn, and only once that turn. And then for the extra deck, 1 Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. When you take damage from an attack involving this card, or from an opponent's card effect, this card gains attack equal to the damage you took. 1 Linkuriboh. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute this card. Change the opponent's monster's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you contribute 1 level 1 monster. Special summon this card, you can only use this effect of Linkuriboh once per turn. Linkuriboh does not come up too often, as the only target we do have is Glow Up Bloom. Then 1 Vampire Sucker. If you attribute a monster or monsters for tribute summon, you can tribute a zombie monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. You can only use each of the following effects of Vampire Sucker once per turn. You can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field in defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster. If a zombie monster is special summoned from either graveyard, you get to draw 1 card. 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda. You can target 1 face-up monster on the field, it becomes start until the end of this turn. You can pay 2,000 life points and send 1 Fusion or Polymerization normal or quick play spell from your deck to the graveyard. This effect becomes that spell's effect when that card is activated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn. You can only use each effect of Predaplant Verte Anaconda once per turn. 1 Avendred Savior. This card's name becomes Revendred Slayer while it's on the field. You can only use each of the following effects of Avendred once per turn. You can target 1 Avendred card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. During damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck or graveyard. The opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 200 until the end of this turn. 1 Yuki Onna, the Absolute Zero Makiyashi. You can only control 1 Yuki Onna, the Absolute Zero Makiyashi. Negate any activated effects of your opponent's banished monsters. If a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, or a monster's effect is activated in the graveyard, except during damage step, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field, change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate the effects. You can use the effect of Yuki Onna, the Absolute Zero Makiyashi, up to twice per turn. Then to the fusions, 2 Mud Dragons of the Swamp. Oddly enough, this was actually very useful in the Code Talkers matchup. Your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card. With card effects, once per turn, Quick effect, you can declare one attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. Then next we have 2 Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragons. Must first be fusion summoned. Monsters cannot be destroyed by battle with this card. At the end of the damage step, if this card battled a monster that has an original level, that monster's attack becomes 0. Also, if that monster is still face up on the field, special summon 1 Dark Soul token. Zombie Dart, level 7, attack and defense question. When summoned, its level and attack become equal to the original level and attack of the monster. You can only control 1 Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. Next, 2 Starving Venom Fusion Dragons. If this card is fusion summoned, you can make this card gain attack equal to 1 special summoned monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Once per turn, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. This card's name becomes that monster's original name, and replace this effect with the monster's original effects. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. And then we have 2 Eldritch, the Mad Golden Lord. This card name becomes Eldritch the Golden Lord while on the field. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. You contribute 1 zombie monster, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of it, but it cannot attack or activate its effects this turn. You can only use this effect of Eldritch the Mad Golden Lord once per turn. And then for the final card, 1 World Chalice Guard Dragon, Marduk. Must first be either fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing the above cards you control, in which case you do not have to use polymerization. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. When an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's link monster, you can banish 1 link monster with the same link rating as that monster from your field or graveyard. Destroy that opponent's monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack. It is actually a very useful fusion, one I did unfortunately not get to use, so it is what it is. And now on to the side deck, 2 DD Crows. Quick effect, you can discard this card into the graveyard, then target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard and banish that target. And then we have the Super Bricky Dragoon package. So, we all know what he does. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. You can use this effect a number of times per turn up to the number of normal monsters used as fusion material for this card. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can discard 1 card to negate that activation, and if you do, destroy that target and destroy that card. And if you do that, this card gains 1,000 attack permanently. And of course, to get that out, Red Eyes Fusion, 2 Twin Twisters, discard 1 card, then target up to 2 spell traps on the field and destroy them. Reason I chose this over like a Cosmic Cyclone, for instance, is because I want to get certain cards into the graveyard anyways. So by having to discard them, they're there and I get to destroy up to 2 instead of just banishing 1. Although banishing is very, very useful. 1 Lightning Storm, because that's all I have. If you control no face-up cards, activate 1 of these effects. Destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls, or destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. You can only activate 1 Lightning Storm per turn. 1 Book of Lunar Eclipse. Discard 1 card, then target 2 face-up monsters on the field and change them to face-down defense position. Of course, 1 Harpy's Feathered Duster. Destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. 2 Anti-Spell Fragrances. Both players must set spell cards before activating them and cannot activate them until their next turn after setting them. And last, 1 Skill Drain. Pay 1,000 life points as long as this card remains face-up on the field. The effects of all face-up effect monsters on the field are also negated. So that's my Eldritch Zombie deck, and the matches were round 1 against a Turbo Dragoon Orcus deck. I was still learning this deck, so that was very unfortunate. I could have done a few things and actually had won, and the player who I was going against actually admitted to that after. That was my only loss for the day. The next 2 rounds were round 2 against Code Talkers, 1-2-0. They almost had me with Access Code, but I was able to destroy it with Doom King Baladrock, as well as then just trampling over them with a zombie Eldritch the Golden Lord powered up from the grave. And then the 3rd round was against a Zombie World deck, actually. Almost exact to what my previous build, the budget build, plus a few extra cards. So that was actually pretty fun. I actually enjoyed that one just because it was zombie against zombie. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for me, mine was the superior version. So I came in 3rd place. I lost only to the 1 person I lost who came in 1st, and the 2nd place tied me but had a bye in one of the rounds. So again, the buys are tiebreakers, which are unfortunate. So next time, hopefully I can pull out my first place, because that would be amazing, seeing as our locals finally brought those OTS 16 packs back in for prizes. So woo! Looking forward to that, guys. Also, I do have a new series coming out. It'll release on my birthday, the 30th of July. I should begin the rest of the things I need for it either today or tomorrow, and I'll hopefully have the intro as well as everything else recorded and edited for that release date. And then from there on, I will try to release it either every Friday or every Monday, depending on scheduling with school and work. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and if you have any suggestions for future content or challenges to use in my next series, post them in the comments below. And as always, guys, peace.